think we didn't know, but we were a 90s lean startup model. I mean, definitely. Just to give you a sense of how we started, I used to work for an internet company called NetActive, and in 1998, the Will-True Group bought a stake in our business. The Will-True Group doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be Woolworths, Massmart, Dion's, Macro Game, all those companies. And the reason why, one of the reasons why they bought a stake in our business is they wanted to put their companies online. So they came to us and they said, look, we want to build macro.co.za and we want to sell product. And it was 1999. To put that in perspective, Amazon really only started to get going in 1996. So it's really early on in the e-commerce days. And we knew nothing about e-commerce. I mean, very few people did. And because Macro was sitting on our board, they knew that we knew nothing about e-commerce. We couldn't kid them. So we said, look, we don't know about that. So they said, no, we know that. So they said, go learn. Go sell something. We don't care. Build something, sell it, come back to us, and then you'll build our website because now you understand e-commerce. So we thought, that's a great idea, fantastic. So we were looking around what to sell, and really we were only doing that in order to win Macro's account. We didn't really want to actually sell anything online. We were a services business. So we looked in the States, and there was a company called 100 Flowers. They had just started online, like 1998. And also, it was February, and Valentine's Day was coming up in 2 weeks' time. So we thought, great. We'll build a site, put some roses on it, because we know that that's a Valentine's thing, and we'll buy them. So, 5 or 6 in the company, we'll transact, we'll send them to our wives, girlfriends, whatever at the time, and then we'll go to Macro and we'll say, right, we know exactly how it works. And and so that was our site. That's a terrible e-commerce site. It breaks every rule that we now know about e-commerce. There's actually nothing good about this site. The first thing is there's really no product on our homepage. I mean, imagine walking into a retail store and just getting hit with reams of data. I mean, that's what the site was. But we didn't know that. Nobody knew that. So there were a few weird things about the site. We've got a search box here. So if I ask the question, what do you need to have a search box, all the technical people will say you need a database because that's how search works. Database filters and brings it back. So we didn't have a database, which is problematic if you've got a search box. But we have a search box because we looked online in the States in 1999 and everybody seemed to have a search box. We thought, okay, we need a search box, but no database, so that's a problem. So it's not a problem if you do this. If you have one page and you have 12 products on the page, right? So you have one product page, that's all you have. And then what you do is, this little green button here, you just hyperlink that to that page. So it means that no matter what you put in the search box, you could have put the word kangaroo in, you got that page with 12 products. So we didn't have a database, so that was the one of many strange things about the site. The other strange things was e-commerce. So in 1999, there was a company called ECNet, and they were almost in beta testing for online transactions. So when you put a credit card on an e-commerce site now, there's a process behind that verifies the account, all sorts of things. But in 1999, it didn't exist online. This company had started, and they were kind of in beta testing. And we didn't really want to play around with the company that was in beta testing. Also, it was just a test case. It really wasn't more than that. So there's a way to get around that as well. So what happened was you got to the end of this process, and you put in your credit card details, you click pay, and a little egg timer came up, and it circulated for about 8 seconds. I know that because I told it to circulate for 8 seconds. And then a page came up and said, boom, thank you for your transaction. It's successful and we'll deliver. Great. What actually happened was that page that you filled in was just saved. And then that night we had a speed point machine and we just put the credit card details. So that was e-commerce in 1999. And it was quite funny. A few days after we launched, there was a guy called Heinz Pretorius. He was quite senior in the NASPAS group, and he started Kalahari. He actually started that business, and he phoned me about 4 or 5 days. He's quite a formal guy. He phoned me and said, are you Ryan? I said, I'm Heinz. I just used your site. It's very impressive. He said, who are you using for your e-commerce transactions? So I said, no, it's top secret. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. So I didn't know what to say to him because he was trying to work out who to use at Kalahari. And anyway, I should have told him just get a speed point machine. It's much easier. But anyway, what happened, which was interesting, is that we got quite a few people who came to buy, more than us who started the company. And the reason why we got that was we were an internet company and we had people's email addresses. It's an interesting thing, actually. we had about 30,000 email addresses, and we sent them all an email to say, we've created this business, Netflorist, and come and buy from us for Valentine's Day. Nowadays, that's spam. But actually, in 1999, people couldn't wait to get their next email. It's a completely different landscape. You were getting like 2 emails a day. You were getting so excited when the email came in that there was no such thing as spam in those days. And everybody wanted more email. Just send me, send me, send me. And so we sent them an email, and nobody said, how dare you send me an email now? We'd get that in spades. And some of those customers bought. And in fact, some came to buy again. So they bought for Valentine's Day, and then they bought for the next day. And so Macro came to us and said, how's your site going? And we said, well, hold on. And we started to watch, and transactions came through. And in fact, for the month of February, we did 30,000 Rand worth of business. To put that into perspective, that was slightly more than an average florist in those days for the month. So that was quite extraordinary for us because we built this in 4 days. The site took us 4 days to build. And somehow, without anything, really, we were able to do as much revenue as a florist. And so we kind of thought, hold on, this e-commerce thing actually might be real, because in 1999, nobody knew if it was real. There was this thing called the dot-com era that had started around that time, and anybody, certainly venture capitalists, wanted to invest in an internet company, but nobody knew why at the time. And in 2002, it crashed. And if you remember that, the dot-com became the dot-bomb. And the reason why it crashed at that time was because everybody was acquiring customers, but nobody was doing it profitably. But it took 3 or 4 years to work that out. In 1999, there was really not much e-commerce going on anywhere in the world. And so we were amazed. We were absolutely amazed that we were suddenly a florist without knowing anything about flowers, without owning a florist, without having flowers in our business. And so we politely said to Macro, give us a bit of time because we actually might want to compete with you one day. And that wasn't going to be a good relationship. And so we started to do all the things that we should have done before we started the business, which was research the flower market. So until then, I really couldn't tell you the name of a flower besides a rose. I really couldn't, maybe a lily, if I was lucky. But so we stepped back and we thought, okay, what does the landscape in South Africa look like for flowers? Who was playing in that space at that time? And was there a space for people who knew nothing about flowers to start a brand?